Steven Universe is the property of Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar, and its respective owners. Any and all footage or images have been used for the sole purpose of critique or parody, and as such are protected under fair use. Please support the official release. Hey, how are you? I'm Sliceville Otaku, and I need to talk to you about leaks. So if you're not interested in leaks and you don't want your experience to be ruined for this upcoming episode, Room for RWBY, then click out of this video now. Still here? Okay. Well, like all the other recent episodes of Steven Universe, we got a 2-minute preview and a couple of images associated with this episode. And the title of this episode seems to be accurate. Accurate to the point where I'm not happy. I was hoping that we would get the RWBY squad, and if we didn't get that, we would get some our RWBY separated from Sapphire. A little bit of, one-on-one with her character. But instead, we got one single member of the RWBY squad, and that being Navy. Steven and Garnet are hanging out at night, looking up at the stars, and down comes Navy. She crash lands on Earth. So yeah, the Crystal Gems never actually make an effort to go into space and retrieve the rubies. Steven said that they would, but they never do. Navy just comes onto Earth. And let me just say this, in a video way back when where I talked about how the rubies would come back, that was like one of my earliest videos, I stated how I expected Eyeball to maybe land on Earth, and people bombarded me saying that that's not possible, that can't happen, they were too far, and well, Navy came to Earth. And I mean, that's okay, that's cool, but really? The Crystal Gems never make an initiative to actually take it upon themselves and right their wrongs? Steven actually lists off all the bad things they've done to the rubies, and with all that in mind, they do nothing? They don't actually go into space? That is disappointing. That is just, it's weird. It doesn't really make sense. It makes me question a lot of things with this show. Like, in the episode Mindful Education, we see that Steven is, hurt about Eyeball. He feels the same way towards Eyeball as he does Jasper, as he does to Bismuth. Like, he did something wrong and he knows that, but he does nothing about it? That's weird. When it came to his dad, he was, I'm up in space, I gotta go save him. Okay, what about other people? Come on, Steven, I thought you cared about people. And mind you, when I say people, I include gems, because I know some of you will be like, oh, they're not people. But the Crewniverse refers to gems as people in interviews and such, so I see no problem. But yeah, for a moment, can we just dwell upon what Steven actually said to Navy?
Or when we blasted you all out into space and stole your ship so you'd be stranded forever? Forever?
When we blasted you all out into space and stole your ship so that you would be stranded forever. What kind of sick shit is this? I don't understand. That is next level cruelty. Imagine being an immortal being and just drifting in space for all eternity. I don't see how this correlates with the character that we're supposed to see in Steven. This caring, loving being. I mean, really, the intention behind this seems to be worse than Lapis's case, because at least with Lapis, nobody really knew who she was. The Homeworld Gems assumed that she was with the Crystal Gems and embedded her in the mirror, but the Crystal Gems just threw the rubies out into space and said, hey, you're stranded forever, we're just gonna steal your stuff and use it. That's sick. And you know what? Navy comes across as the most innocent of the RWBY squad. She's all nice, she's all happy, and when she crash lands, she asks Steven to let her stay on Earth. She says how she doesn't want to go back to Homeworld and that all the other rubies are mean to her. And you know what? I have hope for this episode because of this. I think the proper name for this episode will be Revenge for RWBY, because I don't buy it. I think that Navy is tricking them. And I'll explain this once we touch upon the images associated with this episode. It seems like Lapis and Peridot are going to be present throughout this episode and are going to interact with Navy. Why? Because Navy needs a room. Now that she is being accepted onto Earth, she needs a place to stay, and where else to stay than at the barn with the other gems that Steven just throws whenever he gets a new one. And in most of these images, Peridot seems to be pleased, she's happy. And Lapis, I mean, Lapis is Lapis. It's kind of harder to get a read on her mind state. But the images that I especially want to touch upon are the first and the last. Now in the first, Navy is bubbled for some reason. Maybe this is, Steven showing that, okay, she's good, she's not hostile or anything like that, and this is the first introduction of her to Peridot and Lapis. But in the final image, we have Steven, Lapis, Peridot, and I guess Veggie Head holding on for dear life from what seems like the Ruby ship. I am excited. I am ready to see Navy turn up and turn on these fools because they're neglectful, they're not doing anything, so let me get the rubies myself. And I call this revenge for Ruby because the rubies have been lied to plenty of times. It's time for Steven to be deceived. It's time for Steven to be lied to. And in the episode Adventures in Light Distortion, we see Navy. She is holding on to Army, and let me just point out that that is adorable. Navy and Army, come on now. But yeah, they're holding on to each other despite Navy saying that the other rubies are mean to her. We haven't seen any inklings of the other rubies being mean to her. Now, we haven't actually seen Navy on her own, and there's this general assumption that all rubies are dumb. And this is actually a remark made by Cartoon Network on their Twitter page about the rubies to, hype this episode up. But let's not forget that these are members of the Homeworld military. They have to be resourceful, and I feel as though they would recognize the power gap, that they can't overpower these gems to get what they want. So group up, go back to Homeworld for reinforcements. It's basic. So I'm hoping that Navy deceives them. I'm hoping that they alert Homeworld because that's what the Crystal Gems deserve for this neglect. They haven't attended to this issue, so why should they be exempt from the repercussions? Another thing I want to touch upon with this final image is, can't Lapis fly? And also, Steven has his floating abilities, but doesn't seem to hone them whatsoever. Like really, what are the Crystal Gems even doing anymore? But guys, let me know in the comments what you might be thinking about these leaks. Are you hoping for the same thing as me? And are you disappointed in the Crystal Gems and their behavior? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to share this video with your whole squad. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.